Hi,
her.
Caesar.
I've got Bella here.
Oh,
She's very needy. She won't stop moving. Oh, goodness gracious. Happy Sunday.
yes, happy Sunday. And would you believe it? We are halfway through September already.
It's crazy. And before we know it, the end of the year is going to be here, but which is good because it's just that much closer for my retirement. So I'm okay with it.
Well,
Let's go.
that is always good news.
Let's go. I want to retire so badly.
Claudia, hush.
She just vocal. What's happening? She's not happy that you're not paying attention to her.
Exactly. Every time I get on a live chat or even a FaceTime with the grandkids, it takes my attention from her.
She's like Pinda then.
She is, but apparently Pinda's been feeling a little off kilter, so
Aww.
he's molting and he can't fly like he was being able to. Hi, Carla. But anyway, I know you said you were going to have some figures together for us.
And I want to start out first this session with just putting it out there for, I don't know how many people are here yet, but if there was anybody that was chit-chatting with, you know, a significant other online that they're working on towards a romance that they've never done a FaceTime with, if, you know, they're actually talking with anybody they've not met in person, you know, basically a stranger, an online stranger. I'm just wanting to see if there's anybody out there that's logged in yet that might be having that type of a situation with anybody. I'd love to hear from you. So yes, the figures. So these figures are from the page where the public comes to us and asks and lets us know about their scam story and how much that they've financially lost during the scam. And this, the figures that I have are from January of this year to basically this past week. So I've got 158 victims recorded, which is quite low. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are too embarrassed, too upset, just don't want to say and let us know that they've lost money, but we know that they have. But this, so 158 victims comes out to $8,593,696. It seems kind of low, but when you think about 158 victims, that's it. You know, that's really a lot of money.
It is. And we know, you know, we don't always ask, you know, how much money did you lose? If they want to volunteer that information, that's great.
Yeah.
But some are so embarrassed about, you know, the amounts that they have lost that they really don't want to say. They just say a lot.
I was really surprised when I was going through this. I think there was just two. I want to say just, but there were two, I think, over $1 million losses. I think those two were investment scams. But one thing I noticed was a lot of over $100,000 losses. Can you imagine like working your butt off, working hard for your money that you've got saved up in investments or your savings account, and you just literally have thrown it all away? And here's one, 400,000, 650,000. I mean, there's incredible amounts from just one victim. You know, even 79,000. That would just, it's terrible, you know. And then for the scammers to always say, you know, we're doing it just because we're poor and we don't have any money. Oh, bullshit, you know, absolute bullshit. They're probably one of the richest regions on this planet, aside from Dubai. But scammers, I believe that they are some of the richest people, billionaires probably. I mean, because this scam is in the billions.
That's right. Right. Do we have a scammer on here? Olga's on.
I forgot to monitor.
Claudia.
Let me.
Yeah,
I
was one that had one of those that was over $1 million.
Terrible.
And it was one that, you know, I had helped the lady. I had helped the lady, you know, about a year ago. Talked to her, video chatted, you know, worked with her family and everything. Well, she went back to the scammer, and then she finally came back to her daughter and said, "Who is that detective that you hired?" Because I've been adding up all my receipts, and it's $1.2 million.
Wow.
And I mean, the family's just devastated that it's that much. You know,
Yep.
because she's going to have to pay income tax on that too.
Mm-hmm.
She's 84 years old. You know, I've told this story probably over and over again, but you know, I cannot stress how much damage that these scammers do.
Yeah.
It's just totally crazy.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
And, you know, they put out a report, and I can't remember the exact figures, but just in the last few years, it's been billions and billions of dollars that has been scammed. And that is just, I think, from the U.S. region, I would have to go back and read it again. But still, billions of dollars flowing into mostly West Africa.
Yep.
And what are they doing with it? You know, they still look like they live in poverty because, you know, they don't want to show they're rich because they get arrested. But they have all the brand new devices. They have, you know, nice TVs. They have nice stuff on the inside. And some of them do have new houses. They have 3 or 4 cars, you know, that are high-end cars.
High-end, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you think, what in the heck are they doing with all this money instead of improving their country?
You would think, you know, and I see these posts about, you know, feeding children that are going hungry.
Right.
I wish I had a, you know, an inside friend over there in the scammer world that could tell me, you know, a lot of unanswered questions, just, you know, wondering how is it all this possible? How do they get away with it? You know, how much goes to the government for the government to be paid off and turn their back. What gets me is a lot of these, of course, a lot of, you know, it is the same. There's a lot of elderly people that fall for this, and that's their primary target. Elderly people, if they were successful and they banked all their money, you know, from that era, grandma and grandpa, they don't like to spend money on things, so they bank it. So those are primary victims for scammers, to land somebody in their 70s and 80-year-old, because they're going to have a chunk of cash, you know, to be able to give away. And for any elderly person to think after they've been, whether it's recently widowed or widowed for a long time, divorced, never married, to be able to land that perfect person on their final stretch of their life, you know, figuring most people live in their high 80s to mid 90s, you know.
Right.
So they will do anything. They will do anything and just give it all away, which is so sad.
And it is, because, you know, honestly, being single as long as I have been, you know, if some man that I'm online, which again, I was in a scam, but it was, you know, very short time because I got too curious. But I am very happy being, you know, single. I am very, very happy being alone in my own home. It's peaceful. It's quiet. You know, it's a sanctuary. If I had to turn around and share that with a man now, I mean, I'm so set in my ways that I would have to find an awfully patient man, and I'm sure
Hence
they're
the puppy.
online.
I'm a single cat lady, I think, as the saying goes, a single cat lady. I've been single since 1988. Been in a few relationships, but still, and yes, I was in a scam as well. But, you know, looking back at that and then talking to all these victims that come to us, and when or the family members, and the family members are saying, you know, we've told her over and over again it's a scam. And then, so when speaking to the victims, that, you know, when anybody says, I just didn't know, you knew when a family or friend says something's not right, or flat out this is a scam, and they ignore it. They choose to ignore it. So yeah, you did know. You just chose to ignore it and turn your back on it. So, you know, of course, then the devastation comes along of realizing what's happened. Did you ever find that scammer, by the way? I'm now logged in. I was monitoring. Did you have a scammer that was?
I thought I did, but I don't dare touch my screen. Now there might be another one.
Who's your baby? Oh, who is?
Samaya 79. Anyway, if they want to join us, I mean, they're welcome to do that.
Yeah. Would
Let me
love
know.
to have a scammer give us the inside scoop on how they pull off this bullshit, you know?
Well, I do know, we've looked at like the EFCC's website, the Nigeria, verified one. And if you go through and look, they do arrest scammers here and there or internet fraud,
But Sandy, there's
internet crime.
hundreds of thousands of them. I mean, if they're
There's
in a region of what, a couple million?
A couple of million just in, Nigeria area alone. That
Mhm.
doesn't include, the whole West Africa, and that doesn't include the whole world. But they do arrest them here and there. They do take their assets, their phones, their laptops, any cars. I think there's only been a time or two where I've seen the house has been taken if they've got a new house and got caught. But these items are sold and the money goes back into the government spending budget.
Yep.
It doesn't go back to the victim. So in a sense, they're enabling the scammers, instead of putting stiff fines on them.
Yeah.
And
cares about the stiff fines? Thing is, though, who cares about the stiff fines? I want flipping jail time, prison time. The fines are paid by victims' money anyway.
Exactly.
It'll be passed over from one scammer to the other. That fines will get paid. No, I want jail time. I want prison time. That's what. I want to see.
And I know there was an article this week that we saw where the EFCC in Nigeria did recover some assets, and they worked from a couple of ladies in Canada, and so those assets were returned. And
nice.
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or however you say that, and the EFCC worked together in order to get this done. But that is probably the first time I have seen that.
Yeah.
And I know, our law enforcement, like the FBI and Secret Service even, would like to work with these countries to help prosecute, and so the victims have some type of justice. But at this time, it just doesn't happen. So there is no justice at all.
None. Yeah. Hi, Mel.
Yep. Hi, Mel. So
yeah. That's the thing with me. I mean, I want to see some type of restitution and jail time. I want prison time. I want them to go to prison, and not for a short little 365 days. No, I'm talking a couple of years. With the devastation of how much devastation this is to victims, they really need to do some prison time.
Right.
And
it is devastating, and honestly, everybody that has been a victim, until they start doing research the way we do, they have no idea about how dark these crimes are and how related they can be to, mafia, which of course there's the Black Axe Mafia. But it also, some of the money is spent in child trafficking, terrorism. It's not just all spent on romance scams. Some of the victims' money could be going towards, purchasing something for terrorism, or towards purchasing a child to be trafficked.
Yep.
So, and that is one thing that a lot of people don't realize. It's not just to the romance scams. Scammers, it's not just, straightforward. It gets broken up in a lot of different areas.
Well, I wasn't. Ruth made me aware of the business business.
Business email compromise.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, we're talking triple the amount of losses on that. The high dollar amounts. Just crazy. So it is. There's every facet of all of this. It's just one big scam, and they get away with it. Who was it you were saying? What's the national holiday they were trying to come up with it for October? Talk about that.
October 3rd will be the second World Romance Scam Prevention Day.
That sounds
So
cool.
Kathy's group, advocating against romance scammers, is the one that worked hard to very hard to get this day recognized. So we are doing a little bit of a project to help out with that. I know I've gotten some of the men that I've talked to do short videos, and it's in honor of that day. But it's just highlighting these romance scams.
And it needs to be. I really feel like, somebody obviously with deep pockets, but beyond that, getting victims to go to Congress and speak in front of Congress, which will really start the chain out. I don't know why that hasn't happened, and how you even go about getting a seat to be able to speak in front of Congress. But I think the more that the awareness of brings it out to people, showing them a spreadsheet of all these dollar losses that, and a short little story about it. I wish we could come up with something like that, but that's, it is all about awareness. And at the end of the day, the people that can stop this from happening is us.
Right.
I got cat hair in my mouth. Look how hairy she's a fluffy. I found her outside. She's one of those that has a big old fluffy fur.
Oh,
She's
beautiful
Bella.
though.
This is Bella. She just showed up one day, pregnant too. She's the one, I don't know if you remember the one where I camped out in the woods to go scoop up her 3 babies. She's the mama.
Yes, I do.
Mrs. Bella. She's just had to have been somebody's cat, not chipped, friendly, outside, but anyway, she's fixed and she's happy girl now. But yes, I mean, so we can stop these scams from happening. And it's simply, I've said it before so many times, just take away their audience. If they don't have anybody to talk to, then they have nobody to scam. So if everybody would just stop and push back on the internet, use it for what it was designed. Well, I don't know. It was probably designed for, personal connections as well. It's just, it's too dangerous anymore. The internet is one of the most dangerous places to hang out. And it just, and I don't think that it's ever going to change. I really don't, because people don't want to change.
Right. And, as a human being, we all make mistakes, but we also do not believe, we're a kind person. We are caring people. We, will donate to help the needy. Some are, saying Christians and whatnot. So we don't believe that somebody is that evil that would do that to us, because we would not do that to anyone else.
Yeah, I do agree with that. But I also believe that what happens to people's common sense, though? What about the common sense? We have to at least accept the responsibility. Again, I mean, if a family member is telling you that something's not right, or you shouldn't have to send money to somebody that you've never met, and yet the victim is not willing to open up and stop and listen, then they're at fault. You have to take the responsibility and not come out of it. Because how many times have you heard the victim say, I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. Well, yeah, you did. If the family members or friends are saying something's not right, or this is a scam, then yes, you did. You just did not open up the learning curve and wanted to find out what all this is about. Yep. You're right, Mel. Common sense, it no longer exists. It really doesn't.
That's true. And, if you're talking to a stranger and they are asking you to, send money to the point where you cannot pay your own bills or feed yourself and, whatever family members are with you, because some do have children, they are going for a younger demographic too. But if they love you, they would not ask you to starve yourself or go without paying your bills
or
to send them money.
Anyway, even if you were online dating, I mean, why would anybody ask for money? That was a real person, not a real person, because scammers are real people. I hate that phrase. If they were who they said they are, an innocent person looking for romance, not a lying scammer. Because don't forget, scammers, that's all that this is about, is one big lie in order to get the money. you know, there's no reason for anybody to be asking for money. And how many different scenarios are there? Oh, to help pay for the children's school, or the food for the children, or plane tickets to come home. I mean, the reasons are just ridiculous.
Well, and you know, we have had some say, well, my child's birthday is coming up. Can you send, you know, Google Play cards so they can purchase Nintendo games, or, you know, whatever, however that works. But they do use a child's birthday. And honestly, a lot of people have their heartstrings tugged when a child is mentioned. But if you look at some, let's say the generals, you know, you've got General Douglas Fraser. He retired in 2013. He's not going to have a child that's in elementary school unless he's been really busy. But,
right,
you know, he's already got an older wife. So, you know, he's not going to ask for money. And on top of that, he doesn't need it. Yeah. Some of these, Austin Scott Miller is used so much.
Yeah, he's a cutie.
He is. But, you know, they say he's in Afghanistan. Well, the U.S. military pulled out of Afghanistan in August of 2021. It just takes a few seconds to Google what people are telling you. You know, if you are seeing red flags yourself, Google it. You know, Google romance scams, Google military romance scams, Google, you know, Afghanistan and military. You can also Google, you know, where the military bases are, but they will also, you go on the military website, US Army .mil or something like that. But if you go on there, they will actually have what can and can't happen on social media, and why the military would not be asking for money. And also the military cannot tell where they are deployed, and it lists all the military bases all over the world.
You know, my daughter was in the military and for 4 years, and there's no way she would be online looking to hook up with somebody. It just doesn't happen. In fact,
yes, Yemen is used a lot.
The where she was stationed at, which was in Texas, it was at Fort Hood, Texas, one of the largest military bases. There's thousands of people there. I mean, military people don't need to be online looking for hookups because they have them right there. Their people are everywhere, you know, in their own military camps. So anybody that comes about and says that they're a military person, it's 100% without even doing much work. It will always be a scam. It is. It's nothing but a scammer coming up with a story to be able to hook you in. And to think that a 4 or 5 star general would even spend a second online looking for a hookup is preposterous.
And, you know, to tell you the truth, the only general that I've really seen online is the U.S. Chief of Staff. But that changes when one retires and the next one comes in. So that it's not their personal military page, it is the military's page. But that's about the only one that I have seen. There may be a couple of other generals that are online, but they are not, you know, looking for a relationship.
Right. They're not dating online.
So there was one point I was going to bring out. I forgot what it was. Keep talking. Keep talking.
I have that problem all the time. So in a nutshell, if anybody is chatting with anybody that claims that they are in the military, I definitely encourage you to go to the page and let somebody check that person out. But I can tell you right now, it's going to be a scam. I don't know of any reason for a person that claims to be in the military that would be trolling the internet looking for a lover. Just not going to happen. I got hair on me.
Well, and I know we get a lot of there are a lot of our military that are online that, you know, have businesses in fitness and, other areas. And so they have to keep their social media accounts public for that purpose. But we have some of the victims say, well, why don't they make their account private so the scammers can't steal their photos? Well, guess what? It's already too late.
It is too late.
Yep. The scammers have their photos.
And they shouldn't have to. By the way, all of these ladies that are hooking up with somebody, a scammer, talking to somebody they've never met on the internet, their own photos are most likely already stolen, so that they're part of another scam. So, so when somebody says, well, why don't they make it private? We shouldn't have to make our profiles private. However, knowing that the internet is absolutely saturated with scammers, that is something that you have to consider when going online and making an online account. Do you want it to be open? Because I guarantee it, some photos, at least one photo is going to be stolen, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. So it's not right for these people that want to have an online business to expect them to have it non-public. What's the point of having a website if you can't have it out there for the world to see? So,
right.
It was funny. One thing I've noticed, and I haven't really been on the internet very much over the past couple of years, but just getting back and taking a quick peek here and there at my profile or taking a look at what's new. And I noticed a lot of, I'm in a handful of groups for aquarium, for fish tanks and stuff. And I wanted to bring up one, and I've been noticing constantly daily. Let's just say, let me find one. I got a friend request from a scammer. I do. Who's the guy that does the green juice?
Oh, Joe Cross.
Joe Cross. Yeah, I got a
Joe the
friend
juicer
request from him. He so this one is Anthony Wilson. So, and I think he sent me a friend request because I have not been online. It's because I've been seeing, I'm looking for some here. It's constant where you'll see from a different group. Maybe it's a cat group or a dog group or a cooking group, and you'll have a post that is put out there, and it says, it'll have a bunch of numbers, and it'll ask you no one's found the missing number. And then, of course, everybody chimes in. It's like, oh, it's number 3. And next thing you know, there's another post right below that from the scammer that says, lucky day for you. You've won a McDonald's $100 gift certificate, or whatever the case may be. It's constant. And so it just pisses me off. And I would put down there as people are falling for it and, letting the person know, letting the author know, oh, the number's 3. And I would tell them it's a scam. So that's why I got this friend request from Anthony Wilson, who I laughed when I saw it was Joe Cross's picture, and it happens to be one of those profiles with the ampersand sign. So this one says, works at oil and gas rigs, drilling engineer in Tullow Oil PLC, works at Tullow Oil and Gas from Berlin, Germany. Of course, they have to say that they're a foreigner, so that takes care of the accent, that in case the victim happens to want to speak to them on the telephone. It's just, there's so many scams out there. You see them in real groups, and every place on the internet is absolutely saturated. Real military sites, your own public business page filled, so don't.
Well, we actually get them on our accounts too, that will start commenting to, our followers that post comments. Lately we've had John J. Irwin a lot. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah.
He's used a lot, but we've had him under various spellings of his name, and they usually pop on in the evening when Annie the page police has gone to sleep. So I kind of watch out for them and go ahead and try and ban them. But it doesn't matter, what public page you post on. There's always scammers ready to pounce.
Saturated. So
exactly.
The smartest thing to do is not to answer them, because again, at the end of the day, there's only one way to stop these scams from happening, and it's just stop talking to them. Just stop talking to them. And of course, I've decided to stop posting on the pages that I see. If the admins aren't going to police their own sites, what's the point? It doesn't really help when I put on there, come on, people, this is a scam. Don't fall for it. Don't respond. Don't click the link. It's not going to help. So, if people would just stop responding, then their efforts would go unanswered, and hopefully, in due time it would stop. But you know what? People just don't seem to think that this is even possible.
And honestly, my accounts are private, and a lot of us have private accounts. And what you will notice is that the profile picture and the cover photo are always public. It doesn't matter what your privacy settings are. So unless you put, a picture of a dog or a cat or whatever, your photos can be stolen, and they will be used. And I'll show you one today. I am being called a scammer because I've been fussing with this lady back and forth about oh shoot, I don't know if I can find it.
Is the scammer calling you a scammer or the victim?
The scammer.
Oh.
Well,
competition.
I think she is a victim of a romance scam involving Shane Nichols' photo. Oh, and so she's creating all these fake accounts of Shane and his wife, and they're basically harassment accounts. Wow. And so when I first saw her, I thought she was a victim. And so I tried to warn her, but then she started saying all the, sometimes she doesn't even make sense, to tell you the truth. But she decided she was going to post a photo of me and Shane together and call us both scammers.
Oh, she put your picture.
Yeah, she
picture off
saw
of your
my
profile
photo and did it. And I just, obviously, I'm getting under her skin, or she would not be doing it.
But Sandy, when there's mental issues, there's not a whole lot that you can do. There's these are people that spend the majority of their time. Yeah, she's a nutter right now.
Yeah.
They spend all of their time in front of the computer. So there's some people that cannot be helped, and this is their therapy. This is what they do all day long, all night long. Those are the time suckers, the ones that you just waste so much time with.
They are time suckers, and I had her blocked, but I was told that she was posting my photo, so I went ahead and unblocked her. I responded to her in using one of my other accounts, and so sorry.
Yes, Sandy's rocking out.
So she's done this.
Oh, good Lord. Yep.
So she has shown me some love.
Anybody can take your pictures,
and she's done this.
Oh my God. What does it say?
My hiding online relationship. Yes, I admit that she pretended. She is a scammer, but she taking stolen pictures to cover up her doing. This is Sandy Kirk. So she mentions me by name. And the other day she actually mentioned that I scammed her dad. He recognized my face. Oh, and I'm thinking, okay, where's my new car? Where's my fancy house, my fancy clothes, my Gucci handbag?
Yeah.
So, she's almost like a child throwing a temper tantrum by the harassment that she is doing. And it's totally crazy. I bet she has 20 accounts, and she even has a couple on Instagram as well.
She's a scammer's dream.
She is. And I honestly would say at first she was a victim. And because I think when I first started seeing comments of her, she mentioned that her and Shane had a baby. And I'm thinking, okay, he's married and he lives in the US, and she will not show her face at all.
You can't find her.
We cannot find anything that has her actual face on it. She's using Shane's and his wife's photos in all of these fake accounts. One of them is like, I'm Richie, scammer wife of Shane, or something like that. And I mean, and I hate to say this, but this is just plumb rude to her. Shane's wife is pregnant. They have a photo of them on a golf cart, and she has her hand on her belly. And that lady posted that photo and put RIP baby on it.
Ooh.
I mean, that is beyond harassment.
Yeah.
And we can't get her stopped, because it would be nice if we could get all those accounts shut down. She'd probably make more, but it would be nice to see them all disappear.
Yeah.
And and
that's where the internet, these big companies need to take accountability. There needs to be a team, so that when, not just an AI team, not the computer, as you're talking to a computer, which obviously is not going to respond back appropriately. They need to have a team of people working, so that they, like years ago, where you actually could report by the automatic system, and it would go to somebody's station, with their queue or whatever, and they would take a look at it. But again, it's just it's the most dangerous place to be. It's unfair. It's not right. It definitely underscores and highlights the mental issues out there, especially the ones that are harassing the victims of the stolen identities. That's really sad.
It is. And I actually did dare her to come and do a live chat with me, which I doubt she will, because she's gone radio silent.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, where she hasn't shown her face, there's got to be something that's not quite right.
Where does she find you? On your private messages or on the page?
She was actually commenting on, I'm thinking, Shane Nichols' real page, and saying, "I love you, babe," or something like that. So I tried to warn her, but then she responded with a different account, and it had the same name, but it had Shane's wife's photos on it.
So she's obviously internet tech savvy enough to be able to have multiple accounts and know how to choose and to use this and that. So she's not that stupid.
Right.
She's just
right. And my main point there was, your profile picture is public, your cover photo is public. They can be shared or screenshot unless you have a locked account, which is not available in the US. So, kind of be careful if scammers are reaching out to you constantly, especially if you've been a scam victim. Maybe put a photo of a cat or a dog or a bird, or scenery or food or whatever the case may be, for your profile photo.
For the profile,
yeah. At least until things kind of die down.
I don't know if they ever will. I think that once you dabble with scammers, you're always going to be in their network. I really do. And also too, the connection. How the Facebook will say, possible people that you might know. So your own profile is coming up on their feeds as well. So you're in it for forever.
Yeah, I get those suggestions all the time. And, we see a lot of John J. Irwin, Austin Scott Miller, Eric T. Hill, and, various ones that we go in. And of course, we try to warn possible victims. So on my friend suggestions, I get a lot of these that pop up.
Yeah.
And, if you're also searching, say you were scammed using Austin Scott Miller and you decided to search and see if he had a profile. So you do a search. Well, Facebook's algorithms are going to pick that out.
And you get 50 of them. What does that
right,
tell you?
Exactly.
What does that tell you?
And honestly, if you do Google, or not Google, but search in Facebook and Instagram, Austin Scott Miller, and there's, 200 pages and 500 profiles, something's not right there.
And how the victim can actually come away with that, from that, and say, well, those are all fake because he told me and I've got the only real one. It's just, again, putting the blinders on and not opening up to reality, common sense, stopping and thinking before you go any further. It's just, people are just so hooked on chatting with somebody, just reading, text. I mean, not even chatting, not even doing this, you're just reading text messages and how great you are and how lovely you are and how wonderful the future is going to be and blah, blah, blah.
Well, and that's exactly what it is. They are feeding you what they think you want to hear. Most of the time, people are flattered by the language. Me, if I get a message from someone with all the hearts and roses and I scrolled past your profile and found you really interesting, kiss, kiss, kiss emoji. I would like us to be friends, kiss, kiss, kiss. And I honestly get sick at my stomach because it's just, we see the word vomit day in and day out. When it actually comes to you, it's like, oh, yuck.
Yeah, really. Who's that? The green face. Yes, right, Mel. Exactly.
Right. And which, of course, Mel and I chat back and forth to each other, and we tease each other with those roses and kiss emojis, and we have a lot of fun. Good night, dear. Good night, honey.
Yeah. Love you, babe. Did you eat?
Yeah, love you, babe.
Did you eat? Don't forget.
Yeah, we've done that a few times too, but we do it all in good jest. Real men are not going to be using roses, kiss emojis, hearts, the whole thing. They don't say those words. I have, I don't have a vast experience in men, but I have, brothers, a dad, in-laws, and so forth and so on. None of these men would ever write like that. Never.
It would make me want to run the other way if they did.
Exactly. Because
wrong there.
What do you want if they're sending you something like that?
Something's wrong. I think that people just stop and just use the common sense. Yeah, I'm real babe. Am real babe.
Am real babe.
The English, the improper use of English is just so prevalent, and even when the victim will say, "Well, you don't write very well," it's still what am I trying to say? You can't ask a scammer if they're a scammer. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of answer do you think you're going to get? You cannot ask a scammer if they are a scammer. This is
well, it's the same thing. You cannot ask a liar if he is a liar.
Right. Yeah.
And just like all of these scams that end up, the scammer comes clean and shows his real face, and they say, oh, well, he was nice and he wanted money for the orphanage. Look, he lied to you through a fake relationship. What makes you think he's telling the truth now?
Yep. Nope. It's just they've invested all this time, however much that is, whether it's a month, 6 months, 6 years, they've invested all this time. They're not about to just say, oh, okay, scam's up, let's on to the next one. Oh, heck no. They're on to the next portion of the scam, which is continuing to keep you on the hook, even though now you're looking at some Nigerian prick, that you're no longer looking at the handsome guy that you were so in love. Oh, she just scratched my lip.
Oh no.
Agnes. Oh, I mean, with her claw too, and that one got me. That one's bleeding. I can feel it. Yep. Um. So, uh, when you get to the part where you're actually now realizing that you're being scammed, or you're not being scammed, because most victims won't acknowledge the fact that they are being scammed, that you're now opening up to the fact that you're talking to somebody that is not who you thought it was, and oh, but they're so nice. I mean, they've been nice for the past X amount of time.
Right.
So why stop now? In fact, next thing you know, you get the conversations of they're going to go get married, they're going to go to Nigeria or wherever to go meet this person. It becomes really a different level of dangerousness, Oh,
It does. And I know we talked about it last week, that young girl that went to meet who she thought was the real man in the photos.
did she
And she
go?
went missing. She went to meet him. He was not there. And she went missing for several days. They did find her safe and sound.
Wow.
Thank goodness that, that was a good outcome as far as, danger, because it can be dangerous. She could have been kidnapped. She could have, been killed in some other way. She could have taken her own life, because she was devastated. We also have many that drive across the country to meet their love because the scammers have given out their real addresses.
Yeah.
I mean, because some of them where they have businesses, they can Google their business and get the address. And, Ruth was talking about it the other day. I don't know if they do it just for fun, to see if that person will go and then they have a good laugh over it, or if they do it just to try and make it look more real. And, most of the, go ahead.
Don't forget that the one victim that I talked to from Canada.
Yeah.
She was a young mother in her early 30s, had 2 children. I think it was 10 and 14, so really critical ages. And her scammer convinced her to leave Canada. So she turned in her lease. She had rent control lease. I mean, it couldn't have gotten much worse. Had rent control lease. She turned and broke her lease. Now, if anybody knows what rent control is, that's paid for by the government, and the list is long. So she turned in, she broke her lease. She walked away from that, and she literally was told to take a bus and go to Wisconsin. So leaving Canada to go to the United States to go meet her lover, which will never happen. These scammers aren't here in the same, they're not, they're over in Africa, period. Africa or some other foreign country.
Right.
But, the scammers convince the victims to do something that is just unthinkable, and it's leave their home and go travel to go meet them. And nobody, whether it's the airport or Wisconsin, leaving one country to another, they're never going to be there. And so now you've got a victim that's stuck out there in the world, homeless and no place to go. Super dangerous.
If I remember right, I think the photos they used on her were Clint Wright.
The one from Canada?
Yes. He was a younger guy, dark hair, mustache, kind of cowboy looking.
I think so.
I'm thinking that's who it was. And they actually had shown her a photo of the house he had bought for them to be together. Yeah. And we found that house on Zillow. It was one that was for sale or had been for sale recently, which, again, these addresses they can pick off of any real estate site.
Yep.
Yes. So this is where Googling comes in handy. And I'm sorry, I'm just one that has to do the searching.
Definitely.
So that's why I keep mentioning Google, because that's usually where I search.
But you know what, Sandy? If you can find them, so can they.
Right.
How about the men that actually leave their places? I've had a couple of men. I think the one that I remember from New York. He was an elderly gentleman. He left New York and drove himself, and he was elderly, drove himself to Florida, not once but twice, to meet his hot girlfriend who apparently was sick and in the hospital. So, you know, it's a psychological crime thriller for sure.
It is. And, you know, we do have a lot that say they've, you know, been hurt in a wreck, or they're in the hospital, or they had to have surgery, or they were out on patrol and they got bombed. So they're in the hospital. And, you know, most of the hospitals, say the hospital in Florida, maybe, where he may have been told that she was at.
Yeah.
Call the hospital, you know, ask
Yep.
for that name. I mean, all they can do is say they are not a patient here.
Yep.
But that's, I mean, you know, that's another way to verify without making that long trip.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are going to send you Photoshop photos of them in the hospital. We see a lot of those, you know, the hospital ones, the oil rig ones are manipulated a lot, you know.
Yeah.
You also see doctors that are operating on military personnel that is photoshopped with the face in it. You know, they do all these Photoshop photos or manipulated photos to fit the narrative of whatever story that they are telling the victims or their clients.
Some of my favorite are the ones that have the man sitting at the desk and there's a computer screen, and they'll Photoshop the lady's picture that they've gotten from the lady and put it on the computer monitor as if it's their screensaver. You know, Photoshopping is super easy to do, and with the invention of AI and a lot of these photo editing programs, it's amazing what they can do. It really is. So it's getting a lot harder to be able to tell, making it even more dangerous. Agnes.
Yeah, I've seen a few of the ones that are, you know, businessmen or doctors, and they're in their office, and, you know, the woman's photo is framed and on the wall.
Hanging on the wall, yep.
Yeah, and there's been several of those that I found the actual photos too. There was one that I found that actually had, you know, a man photoshopped into it that was a victim. You know,
Yeah.
which of course, when I post stuff like that, I, you know, blur out the faces of the actual victims. But photoshopping is so easy. I mean, you have, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Adobe Photoshop.
Adobe, yep.
That they can use. You know, and there's many more. I mean, there's apps all over the Play Store or Apple Store.
For free too.
Exactly.
But don't forget, scammers don't it doesn't matter. Scammers will even use the most expensive programs because they don't have to pay for it. All the victims do.
Exactly. And that's the same with the dating apps. They will use those high-end dating apps. I think there's been a couple just this week that have been on Lux dating app, which is a high-end dating app, millionaire dating app. So
really?
Anybody that's on there has to, you know, make over a certain amount of money to get on there. But of course, scammers can get on there. They just, you know, they just pay the fee. That's it.
And that little disclaimer notice, you know, never pay any money to anybody that you have met online. You know, it's still on. There's no accountability. It's, you know, nah. It's a shame that people actually have chosen to go and do dating online. I don't believe that it can work. I don't. I'm a believer now that it doesn't work unless, of course, you're meeting in your own town. Nobody that's online dating has any business chit-chatting with somebody from a different state or different country. No business whatsoever. Then you're obviously not serious about meeting somebody in person, real. I have met a few people that said they met their spouse online, but you know, they're not talking to somebody. They've done all their due diligence. All of these other people that are chit-chatting with somebody, they're not doing their due diligence at all.
No, and I mean, it would be great if we could get people to either come to us or to go ahead and, you know, do an image search themselves.
Yeah.
before they even start investing any time in talking to somebody on a dating app.
But I've always said, if you are online dating, then the only way to start this whole venture out each and every single time is to make sure you ask that person to do this, to do a real-time video chat. And if they give you an excuse and tell you no, then you need to run. You absolutely need to run.
Ruth, are you monitoring this? It says it's me. Kathleen, do you think that's our person?
It's me, Keith. Is that Caitlin? Caitlin.
Well, I'm thinking it's some form. I think it's that lady.
My aunt was a victim of them. No, looks like just a regular guest.
Okay, she may be. That might be one we need to check in. But if your aunt was a victim, is she still in the scam? Do you know if she has blocked? I mean, you're welcome to come to Instagram or Facebook and message me. Messages. Yes,
like
still
in
is.
It,
go ahead and message us either on Instagram or Facebook. You can message either side, and we will see if there is something we can do to give you proof, to show your aunt, or maybe contact your aunt, whatever the case need be. Mm-hmm. So come and talk to us. And
is there anybody out there today that has joined us that is talking to somebody that they've not done this yet, and then wants us to check out the profile and give you a little bit of help? So that's another thing.
We're gonna have to go pretty quick. We're gonna get cut off here in about 2 minutes.
Oh,
she's in the U.S. now. Did she fly to the U.S. to meet him, or does she live in the U.S.?
From the Philippines to the U.S.
Come and talk to us.
Should also share this page. There's a lot of Filipino women. I know the Filipino women. Yeah. It's rampant. Well, listen, Sandy, this has been fun. We'll do it again. Nope, she lives in the U.S. Okay. So if there is anybody out there that has a family member or a friend that's chatting with somebody online that you believe is a scam, and you need some help, please come to the page and give us some information. Let's see what we can do.
Yes, let's see what we can do. And I guess I will tell you, have a good day, and whoever else, have a good afternoon, evening, whatever the case may be. Thanks, Am.
Thanks, Sandy. See you next time.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.